Hi guys, welcome to Prelims Affairs, where we discuss issues from prelims perspective. I hope your preparation is on track and I hope you got an idea of how to read any issue from prelims perspective. We have done several issues for the past 2 months on prelims affairs. So by now I think you have gotten used to the aspects that you need to look for when you are studying for prelims. Okay, so with that, today what we'll do is, instead of talking about one topic every day, what I've decided is, since you have 30 days to go, it is better to give you the list of topic that is important, especially from the subject of polity, since polity is not yet done in detail in the prelims affairs. So today I will give you a list of topics that are in the news and that you can study from the perspective of prelims affairs. Just like how I had taught you from before, from the last 2 months, the different issues that I've done. If you looked at those issues, take the same issue that I'm going to give you today and look at the angles from the prelims perspective in those issues. I hope you have learned this art of studying from prelims perspective, and I hope you'll use the same skills to this list that I'm going to give you, because I am going to give you a list of around 15 to 16 issues, and if I do those issues one by one, it is going to eat away your 16 days. Instead of that, what you can do is you can use this list and then you can yourself dedicate one day and just prepare properly from prelims perspective onto this issue. Okay, so this is the list of important topics for prelims 2024 for your polity subject. The first and the foremost topic is understand the difference between FIR and charge sheet. The reason why it is in news is because the Supreme Court recently has told that any police that was filing a charge sheet or any investigative agency that is filing a charge sheet should consist of complete entries, as well as the witness's statement should also be enclosed. So in that regard, you should know the exact difference between what is an FIR and what is a charge sheet, and you should also know the concept of zero FIR. So in this regard, please make sure that you prepare some amount of data and have some clarity of what is an FIR and what a charge sheet. The next issue is interim bail. As you know, recently Arvind Kejriwal was given an interim bail. So this interim bail has been making a lot of news. So you should know what is bail. What are the 4 types of bail? That is anticipatory bail, regular bail, statutory bail, and interim bail. So understand the exact differences between the interim bail, statutory bail, regular bail, and anticipatory bail. That is the next issue that you should know very well. Okay, again, when it comes to UAPA Act, bail was discussed in the Supreme Court. When you come to PMLA Act, bail was discussed in the Supreme Court. So the bail as a concept is very important in the polity subject. The third is the PMLA Act, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The reason why this is in news is because of its scheduled offenses. So what all comes under this scheduled offenses, and how, when you are accused from this scheduled offenses, the onus falls upon you to prove that innocence, and that itself is the issue that is happening. So getting bail under the scheduled offenses of PMLA itself is an issue that is happening in the Supreme Court, which is very rigid. Does it restore reformative justice of Indian constitution or the Indian criminal justice is something of the discussion that is happening. So in this regard, PMLA is very important. What are the scheduled offenses? How are the provisions working? What is the accused onus to prove the innocence? So these are some things that you have to study in the PMLA. So learn from the prelims perspective about PMLA Act. The fourth is investigative agencies like Enforcement Directorate has been in news. So along with ED, also learn CVC, that is Central Vigilance Commission. So know the constitution of the body, how the appointment is done, what are the functions, what are the challenges. From prelims perspective, know about Enforcement Directorate as well as CVC. Another body that is in news is the National Human Rights Commission. The Global Alliance of National Human Rights Commission has deaccredited the NHRC of India again. It has not given the A status that NHRC enjoyed several years before. This is, I think, the second time that the GANHRC, that is Global Alliance on National Human Rights Commission, has deaccredited NHRC. So in that regard, you should understand what is NHRC, what is the composition, what is the appointment, what are the functions, what are the challenges of NHRC. So please make sure that you prepare on NHRC. Next, again, another body is a constitutional body, that is the Chief Election Commission. The news here was the change in the appointment procedures of Chief Election Commission. The Supreme Court had given a verdict where it had changed the appointment procedures, and for this the government had also passed an amendment bill and it had changed the appointment procedure of CEC. So you should know very well what exactly is CEC, What is the appointment procedure currently of the election commissioners? What are the challenges of this body and what are the functions of Chief Election Commission? Very well, you should know about it. Okay. The next is since it's an election year, you have to learn these set of things. As a rule. The first is know in and out about Representation of People's Act 1951. Yes, before it was mostly a mains issue, but now RPA 1951 has become very, very important. You should know the Bail Act and the provisions very well. So that is one within the election year you have to learn about RPA 1951. The second is understand the basic knowledge about EVMs and VVPATs. Okay, how to know this? Go to the Election Commission website. There you will have frequently asked questions, FAQs. So go there and find out about the basic knowledge about EVMs and VVPATs. For example, the question may be, what is the maximum number of people who can be put in one EVM? So such basic information you should have an idea about. So please go to the website and check it out. The next is Model Code of Conduct. Have a very good idea about this Model Code of Conduct. Okay, how it is not legally enforceable, but what are all things that come in MCC. They can ask you about the evolution of MCC. They can ask you also about the challenges of MCC, how it is enforced, when it is enforced, what are all the things that happens. So have a very good idea about MCC. And the last is allocation of political symbols. This has always been in use. This has been in use in Maharashtra because of the turmoil. This has also been in use in Tamil Nadu because a lot of registered, unrecognized political parties have, not been given the political symbols that were given before. So this issue also is going on. So you should understand how political symbols are given, how the political parties are recognized, what is a national party, what is a state party, what is a registered, unrecognized party. These are all some things that you should have a very good idea about in this election topics. So I'll repeat the election topics. You should know RPA 1951, the EVMs and VVPATs, the MCC and the allocation of political symbols, and about the political parties and their recognition. Okay, so this is about the election part. The next is the body Delimitation Commission. Delimitation Commission has been in use because of its work done in Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. So again, understand what is Delimitation Commission, how is its composition, what are its functions and limitations. Okay. The next comes the difference between the judicial custody and police custody. A lot of issues keep happening in several Supreme Court cases where there is, investigative agency that is asking for police custody, and where the opposition or the person who is, defending the accused is asking for judicial custody. So in that regard, you should understand exactly what is police custody and what happens there and how is it different from judicial custody. Okay, so understand this. The next topic is DPSP versus fundamental rights. That is directive, directive principles of state policies versus the fundamental rights. The reason why this is in use is mainly because there's a nine judge bench that is there in the Supreme Court that is looking into the issue that is regarding the right of the government to acquire private property and redistribute private property. So this is what the Supreme Court bench is looking into. Now, when I talk about this, three important articles are very, very important. One is Article 31C, okay, which allows the government to do this function. And by doing this function, it allows the government an exemption of not violating the Article 14 and 21. So in this regard, okay, you should look at fundamental rights and DPSPs. This is basically a tussle between the fundamental rights of Article 31C, okay, and the DPSPs of Article 39B and 39C. Okay, so this tussle between Article 31C and Article 39A and Article 39B is what is happening in the Supreme Court case. So one, have a very good clarity about fundamental rights, DPSPs, and what is this Article 31C and how is it contesting with regards to Article 39B and Article 39 of C. That is the DPSP. Okay, so this is something that you should again look into. Again, you should also know fundamental rights itself is a very, very important theme in polity, and 1 or 2 questions on fundamental rights will come every year on polity. So you should have a very good idea and very good grip on the fundamental rights. The next is the Indian Succession Act 1925. This Indian Succession Act 1925 is also in use. How the inheritance is regulated for all other religions, because you also have Hindu Succession Act 1956, How is this Indian Succession Act 1925 different from Hindu Succession Act 1956? And what is the regulation of inheritance regarding Indian Succession Act for all the other religions? What is the regulation of Hindu Succession Act for Hindus? This is something that you should learn. So know the difference between these two acts very well. There are high chances that it can come. The next issue is scheduled areas and autonomous districts. So this is basically the difference between the 5th schedule and the 6th schedule of the constitution. The 5th schedule basically is protecting the areas in the central India that are dominated by tribes. And the 6th schedule is the tribal areas in the northeast, especially the Meghalaya, the Assam, Tripura and Mizoram. So why is it in news is because Ladakh is demanding that they should be granted the 6th schedule. So hence this has been in news. So you have a very good idea about the difference between the scheduled areas and autonomous districts. I've already done this in prelims affairs, this topic, but it is okay. I'm just giving you a comprehensive list. The next is regarding center-state relations. Financial relations of center-state is very, very important. You can take that as GST and its relation, or you can take as the borrowing limit of the state government. The reason why I'm telling about borrowing limit of the state government is because the Kerala and central government issue is happening in the Supreme Court. The Article 292, Article 293 and the FRBM Act are in news regarding the tussle between the Kerala government as well as the central government. So this is where you have to understand the financial relations of center-state relations in regards to Article 292, 293 and FRBM Act. So please have a very good idea about these things. The next is the Office of Governor. The Office of Governor is always in news. If you take the Governor of Telangana, Tamil Nadu as well as Kerala, their tussle with the Chief Minister is always in news. So know the Governor topic in and out. The next is preventative detention. How is preventative detention different from pre-trial detention? And what are the constitutional provisions that take or that give power to this preventative detention? And how can center's preventative detention be different from state's preventative detention? So these are some things that you should know. The reason why I'm telling you this is, it is in news because the Supreme Court has told that enforcing preventative detention cannot be a normal exercise of power. Because the police has been doing it as a normal exercise, but preventative detention should be used as an exception. So the Supreme Court has brought into notice this particular issue, hence preventative detention becomes very important. So have a very good understanding of what is this preventative detention. The next is the anti-defection law and the office of whip. Whatever turmoil that happened in Maharashtra regarding the breakage of a political party and the speaker's role in enforcing the anti-defection law and disqualifying the MLAs, I will not get into the political aspects of it, but 10th schedule anti-defection law is in news and the office of whip. Between the two factions, who gets to elect the office of whip and who's that legitimate office of whip? This was in news, hence office of whip is also very important. So please make sure that you're very well versed with anti-defection law as well as the office of whip. The next is Rajya Sabha elections happened. So know very well what are all the different provisions regarding Rajya Sabha elections. Cross-voting also happened there. So there was a lot of articles that came regarding Rajya Sabha elections. So please have a very good understanding of Rajya Sabha elections. And finally, the last one is the Supreme Court Legal Services Committee. What is this committee? Who sets up this committee? Who are the members of this committee? What are the function of this committee? Have a very good understanding of this. Also, when you study this, you should also have an idea about Legal Services Authority Act 1987 and a body called NALSA, that is National Legal Services Authority. So have a good idea about this as well. These are some of the very important aspects or issues that are happening outside the realm of your basic polity book that you study. As many people are constantly telling that questions are not coming from Lakshmikant. Yes, it is true that the questions have become more applied oriented. So I have tried to give you all the list of applied oriented political issues that are happening, but that does not give you any scope to not study Lakshmikant, because Lakshmikant gives you the crux of Indian Constitution. Lakshmikant gives you the philosophy, the spirit of the Indian Constitution. Using the crux, the philosophy and the spirit of the Indian Constitution, let them ask you whatever questions that will put you in a forward foot to answer that question, because you will have that particular essence of the Constitution and you can use that essence to deduce the answer there. Okay, so reading Lakshmikant is a must. Revise it many number of times, though the questions are not coming from it. It doesn't give you any scope to reduce or dilute your amount of revisions that you do on Lakshmikant. This is something that I wanted to warn you. The second is, I've given you the list of all applied issues that have been happening. So I hope you will dedicate one day and prepare a good amount of prelims oriented, prelims angled content on this, and that should be it. With that, revise many number of times, revise the basic subjects, and you will ace this exam, guys. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Please like, share and subscribe, guys. I'll see you again. Bye.